Namaskar, a warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. I'm Anita Anand, and with me Nitya Franco, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi says apps like UPI and eSanjeevani proved to be very useful in ease of living for the common man. In his Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio, Mr. Modi describes waste to wealth, an important dimension of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Economic crisis in Pakistan hits healthcare system. Counting of votes underway in Nigeria's presidential election. Around 60 people killed in southern Italy shipwreck. Thousands protest in Portugal over cost of living crisis. And in women's cricket, Australia lift T20 World Cup trophy in Cape Town. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said apps like eSanjeevani and UPI have proved to be very useful and helpful in raising the ease of living of common man. In his Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on Sunday, the Prime Minister expressed pride at the power of India's UPI. He said many countries are being drawn towards it. He said that UPI Pay Now link was launched between India and Singapore recently.
कुछ दिन पहले ही भारत और सिंगापुर के बीच यूपीआई पे नाउ लिंक लॉन्च किया गया। अब सिंगापुर और भारत के लोग अपने मोबाइल फोन से उसी तरह पैसे ट्रांसफर कर रहे हैं जैसे वे अपने अपने देश के अंदर करते हैं। मुझे खुशी है कि लोगों ने इसका लाभ उठाना शुरू कर दिया है।
The Prime Minister noted that the power of digital India is visible in every corner today. He said different apps play a big role in taking the power of digital India to every home. The Prime Minister hailed eSanjeevani app for being a boon for the people during the COVID period. He expressed happiness that the number of teleconsultations in eSanjeevani app has crossed 10 crores.
इस ऐप का उपयोग करके अब तक टेली कंसल्टेशन करने वालों की संख्या 10 करोड़ के आंकड़े को पार कर गई है। भारत के लोगों ने तकनीक को कैसे अपने जीवन का हिस्सा बनाया है, ये इसका जीता जागता उदाहरण है। हमने देखा है कि कोरोना के काल में ई संजीवनी ऐप इसके जरिए टेली कंसल्टेशन लोगों के लिए एक बड़ा वरदान साबित हुआ है।
Prime Minister urged the people to resolve to contribute towards Clean India and pledge to replace plastic bags with cloth bags. He said the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan has changed the meaning of public participation in the country. Mr. Modi described waste to wealth an important dimension of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. He gave the example of women of a self-help group in Kendrapada district of Odisha who make items like baskets and mobile stands from milk pouches and other plastic packing materials. This is a good source of income for them, along with ensuring cleanliness. The Prime Minister also spoke about the Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar, which were conferred recently. These awards were given away to emerging talented artists in the field of music and performing arts. The Prime Minister wished everyone a happy Holi. He reminded listeners to celebrate the festival with the resolve of vocal for local.
आज से कुछ दिन बाद ही होली का त्योहार है। आप सभी को होली की शुभकामनाएं। हमें हमारे त्योहार वोकल फॉर लोकल के संकल्प के साथ ही मनाने हैं। अपने अनुभव भी मेरे साथ शेयर करना न भूलिएगा।
In today's hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on the Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat. In conversation are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and S. Rangabashyam, AIR correspondent.
Mr. Tandon, a warm welcome to the program, and we are discussing the Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio, and today was the 98th episode of this very popular program, which the entire country looks forward to listen to the program. And the uniqueness of this program is that it's not a one-way communication or an address to the nation. It's actually a dialogue between the Prime Minister and the people, isn't it, sir?
Certainly. In fact, this particular aspect Prime Minister has been emphasizing in every episode of Mann Ki Baat, that it is a dialogue with the people of the country in the remote and remotest areas. And then he supplemented this argument by saying that whenever during Mann Ki Baat he has raised an issue of concern or interest to the people, it has transformed into a mass movement. And then he gave the example when he talked of the toys industry in India. Now it has become a mass movement. People all over the world are now crazy about Indian toys. Similarly, when he talked of promoting Indian sports, and then we see the result in all the competitions, and so Indian sports. So like that, it has become a popular movement. And then he gave a very interesting example. He said in one of the episodes of Mann Ki Baat on the Sardar Patel birth anniversary, which is celebrated in India as Unity Day, and he talked of 3 competitions. And these competitions were about the folk songs and patriotic songs and lalbi and rangoli. And he said that tremendous response. 5 lakh people from more than 700 districts across the country participated in, and children, adults, all sections of the society sent their entries in more than 20 languages. And in fact, he said today he was reminded of the great Indian singer Lata Mangeshkar, because on the occasion of this, when this competition was launched, she tweeted urging people to participate in these competitions and see the results today. And he gave the example of all the competitions, the people who have won the prizes, he congratulated all of them, and in fact the clips of the lalbi in Kannada was also shared with the people. And similarly, somebody who won the 2nd prize from Kamrup district in Assam, his clip was also shared with the people. So he basically wanted to prove that whatever he has been talking about, about the interest of the country and the interest of the people, and people have participated and turned into a mass movement. And whether it was a Rangoli competition, like that, all the competitions congratulated the prize winners. Yes. And said that people should continue to participate in all these events. And then he gave the example of the Ustad Bismillah Khan Award, and he said this Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar that was given away to emerging talented artists in the field of music and performing art, and resulted into a tremendous response.
Mr. Tandon, today was the 98th episode, just 2 short of the magical figure of 100. Surely we can expect the 100th episode to be really a big fanfare and a really special edition of the Mann Ki Baat program, isn't it, sir?
Hopefully, because it will be a huge milestone when we reach 100th episode of Mann Ki Baat, and I'm sure Akashvani must be planning something big on this particular occasion. You know, PM also talked about the power of digital India.
Exactly.
He said it is visible in every corner.
Yeah, and especially Sanjeevani app he spoke about, isn't it, sir? Some 10 crore teleconsultations. That's a huge, huge landmark.
Certainly, when we talk of the power of digital India, so many apps are also playing a big role in taking the power of digital India to every home. And through this app, teleconsultation is something which is really unique. Sitting far away through video conference, the people of India can consult a doctor about their illness. Until now, the number of teleconsultants using the app has crossed the figure of 10 crore. Can you imagine? 10 crore consultations through video conference. An amazing bond between patient and doctor. And this is a huge achievement. So this particular aspect needs to be emphasized, that there is a living example of how the people of India have made technology a part of their lives. eSanjeevani app has proved to be a great boon for the people.
Right, sir. And Mr. Tandon also spoke about the UPI app, the Unified Payment Interface, and the recent development wherein even Singapore joined, and now people from both the countries can seamlessly transfer money either way, isn't it?
Yes, certainly. When we talk of technology like the eSanjeevani, which has become a life-saving app for the common man of the country and also for the middle class, and particularly people in the remote areas like the hill areas, it is the power of India's digital revolution. And today we are seeing its effect in every field. As you very rightly mentioned, the power of India's UPI. Now, many countries of the world are drawn towards it. And Prime Minister said that just a few days ago, UPI PayNet now link has been launched between India and Singapore. And therefore the people of Singapore and India are transferring money from their mobile phones in the same way as they do within their respective countries. And he said the people have started taking advantage of it, well, be it India's eSanjeevani app or UPI. These have proved to be very helpful in raising the ease of living.
He also spoke about cleanliness, the initiative which was started many years back, the Swachh Bharat initiative. So we have seen a sea change in the behavior of people towards cleanliness and keeping their surroundings, their homes, their cities clean. That is very perceptible.
Certainly, because I remember when Prime Minister launched the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and he had recalled Mahatma Gandhi's drives, and I remember he said Mahatma Gandhi, whenever he launched some program like Satyagraha or Swachhata Abhiyan, he made it a mass movement. And now look at it, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and in fact he has changed the meaning of public participation in our country. And if something related to cleanliness takes place anywhere in the country, people certainly inform the Prime Minister about it. And that is how his attention is drawn to a cleanliness campaign by the youth of Haryana, which you gave the example, that in a village of Haryana, the youth decided that Bhiwani city has to be made example in terms of cleanliness. And they formed an organization called Yuva Swachhata Evam Jan Seva Samiti, and the youth associated with this committee reached Bhiwani at 4 in the morning, and together they run cleanliness drives in different places, and these people have so far cleared tons of garbage from different areas of the city. So waste to wealth is also an important dimension of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. In fact, gave the example of a sister from Kendrapada district of Orissa, and he said she runs a self-help group. The women of this group make many things like baskets and mobile stands from milk pouches and other plastic packets material. Now this is becoming a good source of income for them also. So therefore the Swachhata Abhiyan has actually turned out to be a mass movement in every nook and corner of the country.
Yeah, and he also highlighted the importance of using alternate material for carrying, like bags instead of the single-use plastic, like switching over to a cloth bag.
Yes, but another very important aspect was, which Prime Minister invariably mentions in every episode of Mann Ki Baat, is vocal for local. And he said that now many festivals will be coming, and so therefore we have to be very careful. When we celebrate Holi, we have to celebrate our festival with the resolve of vocal for local. It's clearly a message. People who would be celebrating Holi and the kind of stuff they use, like gulal, it should be indigenous, made in India, and also it should be organic. So these things Prime Minister invariably reminds the countrymen, and people do listen to him and they follow it also. I think that is the beauty of his interaction with the people on the platform of Mann Ki Baat.
Yeah, and Mr. Tandon, don't you think this entire program, Mann Ki Baat, when it started and from there on to almost 100 episodes, it's like a family elder taking care of the entire family, talking about issues which are close to heart of people, of children, of youth. It's a fatherly figure taking care of every member of the family.
Certainly, it's actually a two-way. Prime Minister also gets a lot of ideas from the people who are working in their own way in different parts of the country, in remote areas, without getting any publicity, but doing a great service to the society. So the Prime Minister invariably says that he gets inspiration from these people, and therefore he continues to work for the welfare of the society and the betterment of the country. One interesting episode which the Prime Minister mentioned today was about the birds which are now going extinct in a country, and we have to save them. And there are many such great traditions in our own country which have disappeared. So we have now to make efforts to bring, make these traditions and revive them also with the power of public participation. And therefore, he said that Mann Ki Baat is perhaps the most appropriate forum when we discuss these things and revive all these traditions and our culture, our cultural heritage, and our reviving the traditions. And that is exactly what he has been emphasizing in every episode of Mann Ki Baat. And power of public participation, I think, is the most important segment of the Mann Ki Baat episode.
Mr. Ashok Tandon, thank you so much for joining in this program.
Thank you.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Welcome back to the world news. In Maharashtra, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar is all set to host the Women 20 W20 in an official G20 engagement group inception meeting starting from Monday. Pursuit of gender equality, equity and dignity for women-led development is the theme of the meeting that will take place over a period of 2 days under the Indian presidency of G20. More than 150 delegates are expected from the G20 countries to attend the meeting. Union Minister for Women and Child Development, Smriti Irani, will inaugurate the meeting. Union State Minister for Finance, Bhagwat Kisan Rao Karad, will be the chief guest for the opening ceremony. Renowned performing academician and chairman of the Sangeet Natak Academy, Dr. Sandhya Purecha, is chairing the meeting. In preparation for the international event that will see the participation of international delegates from G20 nations, guest countries and international organizations, the city has taken up major beautification and cleanliness drives over the past few weeks. In the first major ministerial engagement under G20, where finance ministers and central bank governors meet on the outskirts of Bengaluru, India welcomed the debate on crypto assets, proposing regulations and a policy perspective on the use of crypto assets. Participating members of the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors also welcomed the crypto assets are being closely monitored and subject to robust regulation to mitigate potential risk to financial stability. Briefing the media at the conclusion of the meeting, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that there is almost a clear understanding that anything not backed by the central bank is not currency, and this is the position that India has been taking for a very long time. Meanwhile, Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikanta Das told the media that there is now wide recognition and acceptance of the fact that cryptocurrencies or assets are major risks to financial stability, monetary systems and cyber security. He said during the meeting, delegates took interest in the central bank digital currency pilot projects in some countries including India. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency in which transactions are verified and records maintained by a decentralized system using cryptography instead of centralized authority.
India's Science and Technology Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh has said the government will promote industry-driven startups to create wealth and jobs. The minister said startups will become sustainable if industry from the very beginning identifies the product and invests matching equity with the government. The minister assured that funds will not be a constraint under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government to promote the innovation ecosystem in the country. Mr. Singh was addressing the 37th Foundation Day of Department of Biotechnology at National Institute of Immunology in New Delhi on Sunday. He called for equal stake with equal partnership and responsibility by industry to sustain the startups boom. India exported onions worth $523.8 million between April and December last year. It also registered a 16.3% increase in exports as compared to the year 2021 during the same period. The Commerce and Industry Ministry said that there were no restrictions or prohibitions imposed on onion export. It stated that only the export of onion seed is restricted, and that too is permitted under authorization from the Directorate General of Foreign Trade.
An Indian Air Force contingent comprising 145 air warriors on Sunday departed Air Force Station Jamnagar to participate in Exercise Cobra Warrior at the Waddington Air Force Base in United Kingdom. The exercise is scheduled from 6th of March to 24th of March this year. Ministry of Defence in a statement said that the Exercise Cobra Warrior is a multilateral air exercise in which Air forces from Finland, Sweden, South Africa, United States of America and Singapore would also be participating alongside Royal Air Force and Indian Air Force. This year, IAF is participating in the exercise with 5 Mirage 2000 fighters, 2 C-17 Globemaster and an IL-78 mid-air refueler aircraft. The exercise is aimed at providing operational exposure and share best practices amongst the participating air forces, thereby enhancing combat capability and forging bonds of friendship. The ongoing economic crisis in Pakistan has badly hit the healthcare system, where patients have been struggling for essential medicines. The lack of forex reserves in the country has affected Pakistan's capacity to import the required medicines. As a result, local pharmaceutical manufacturers have been forced to slash their production as patients suffer in hospitals. As per Pakistan media reports, the operation theatres are left with less than 2 weeks' stock of anesthetics needed for sensitive surgeries, including for heart, cancer and kidney. The drug makers have blamed the financial system for the crisis in the healthcare system by claiming that commercial banks are not issuing new letters of credit for their imports. Pakistan medicine manufacturing is highly import dependent, with almost 95% of the drugs requiring raw materials from other nations, including India. The drug manufacturing industry has said that the cost of making drugs is constantly increasing due to rising fuel cost, transportation charges and a sharp devaluation of the Pakistani rupee.
Bangladesh Awami League General Secretary and Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood has said that he wants all parties, including the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party, to participate in the next general elections. General polls are to be held in December this year or early January next year. He said that the Awami League also wants people to vote enthusiastically and elect the next government fairly. Dr. Hassan Mahmood said that elections in Bangladesh will be held under the supervision of the Election Commission, as it is held in all parliamentary democracies like India, Australia, Japan, UK, Germany and others. He said EC will take initiative to ensure that all political parties participate in the elections. Vote counting is underway in Nigeria's presidential election. Turnout appeared to be high, with many young first-time voters stepped out to cast their votes. Saturday's voting was marred by long delays at polling stations, as well as scattered reports of ballot box snatching and attacks by armed men. Some parties have raised alarm over allegations of irregularities. The elections are the biggest democratic exercise in Africa, with 87 million people eligible to vote. Politics has been dominated by two parties, the ruling APC and the PDP, since the restoration of multi-party democracy 24 years ago. But this time, there is also a strong challenge from a third-party candidate in the race to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari. From the Labour Party's Peter Obi, who is backed by many young people. Tens of thousands of polling stations are counting the results, which will be collated and sent to the electoral headquarters in the capital, Abuja. The final result is not expected until at least Tuesday.
Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has said that a new Brexit deal for Northern Ireland is not yet done, but is inching towards a conclusion. He said a protocol agreement could come within days, but negotiators still have a gap to close. He urged politicians from the UK, Brussels and Northern Ireland to go the extra mile. The Northern Ireland Protocol has agreed under former Prime Minister Boris Johnson during Brexit talks and came into force in 2021. It sees Northern Ireland continue to follow some EU laws to get round the need for checks at the UK's border with the Republic of Ireland, and has been an ongoing source of tension. A Russian Soyuz spacecraft has arrived at the International Space Station on a mission to bring 3 crew members back to Earth. The unmanned Soyuz blasted off on Friday from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. About 48 hours later, it docked at ISS. It is replacing the original return vehicle that was found to have a coolant leak from a capsule last December. The discovery forced U.S. Space Agency NASA and Russia's State Space Corporation Roscosmos to postpone their plans to send the crew back to Earth on the vehicle. It is expected to bring home U.S. astronaut Frank Rubio and Russian cosmonaut Dmitry Petelin and Sergei Prokopyev in September. The vehicle with the leakage will be separated from the ISS in March to come back to Earth without any crew. NASA says that the leakage did not pose any risks to the 7 astronauts at the ISS.
At least 4 people were killed and 12 wounded in an explosion inside the Rakhni market in Balochistan's Barkhan on Sunday morning. The injured persons were moved to a nearby hospital while security forces cordoned off the area for investigation. The nature of the explosion has not been determined yet. The condition of the injured persons is said to be critical. The incident came a day after 2 policemen were killed and 2 were injured in a remote-controlled blast in Balochistan's Khuzdar district.
In the United States, nearly 85,000 households and businesses were without power in the Los Angeles area on Saturday as storms continue to pummel parts of California, bringing snow to higher elevations. The California Department of Transportation said Interstate 5, the largest highway leading north out of the city, remained closed at the steep grade known as the Grapevine due to heavy snow, while several more southern points of the freeway in and around Los Angeles were closed due to flooding. In Northern California, San Francisco was expected to experience record cold temperatures, and the National Weather Services warned residents of the state capital of Sacramento to avoid travel from Sunday through Wednesday as rain and snow started up again after a reprieve on Saturday. In Portugal, thousands of people took to the capital Lisbon streets to demand better living conditions. Portugal is struggling with a cost of living crisis due to inflation. House prices in Portugal rose to 18.7% in 2022, the biggest increase in 3 decades, and rents have also increased significantly, in part due to a speculative property bubble.
Around 60 people were killed while more than 80 people survived when a boat carrying migrants crashed against rocks near the coast of southern Italy on Sunday. The shipwreck took place near the coastal town of Crotone in the Calabria region. The boat was carrying more than 100 people. The Italian authorities have mounted a large search and rescue operation on land and at sea. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni expressed deep sorrow for the deadly incident and vowed to stop irregular sea migration to prevent more deaths at sea. She blamed the deaths on traffickers. In women's cricket, Australia have lifted the ICC T20 World Cup trophy for the 6th time. In the final match on Sunday, they defeated South Africa by 19 runs at Newlands Cricket Ground in Cape Town, chasing a victory target of 157 runs. The hosts could make only 137 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in stipulated 20 overs. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi says apps like UPI and eSanjeevani proved to be very helpful in ease of living for the common man. In his Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio, Mr. Modi describes waste to wealth, an important dimension of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Economic crisis in Pakistan hits healthcare system. Counting of votes underway in Nigeria's presidential election. Around 60 people killed in southern Italy shipwreck. Thousands protest in Portugal over cost of living crisis. And in women's cricket, Australia left T20 World Cup trophy in Cape Town. And now before we end, let's listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Japan.
Ni
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.